Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is U.S. immigration attorney Hardam Tripathy from Trip Law. Today, I want to discuss a very important video and topic, basically stating that what do I do if I'm an employer and I have workers who are undocumented? What do I do as that U.S. citizen who is a business owner? It could be a small business owner who's probably watching this, and you have workers that are employed at your place of business who happen to be undocumented. Well, what do you do, and what are some of those legal obligations you have, and what can you do to help them obtain legal status so that way they can continue working legally here in the United States, and you as the employer can sleep easy at night knowing that you're following the law and that you're taking care of your employees and ultimately do better for these great citizens here in the United States of America. Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to understand you as the employer. So this video, I'm talking to you, the employer, and also, this will trickle down to the employees as well in your company who can learn from this and hopefully obtain legal status. And our law firm would be very happy to help you with that, because not only does this help the employer, it helps the immigrant, and also helps our local communities with the very essential tasks that these people do on a day-to-day basis in the agriculture industry, construction, roofing. So these are all various industries where there is a lot of immigration and immigrants who are working in these specific skill-based sectors. So you as the employer you basically have to really understand that U.S. law, right? The Immigration Reform and Control Act of 1986, which is basically a law where employers were supposed to verify the identity and work authorization of employees. And you do this by using that Form I-9, which is a very important form. Remember, documentation is very key when you're the employer. You want to make sure that you're having that Form I-9, make sure you're verifying identities of all the employees that you have, and make sure that they have proper work authorization. So you want to definitely make sure that, that you're doing all that right. Documentation really matters. Now, as the U.S. employer, you cannot, and it's unlawful to knowingly, that keyword there, knowingly employ undocumented workers. And there are actually, based on state by state, there's also rules around that as well. Specifically in Florida with Governor DeSantis, there's rules on when there's reporting requirements and things of that nature. If you have 25 or more people working for you who happen to be undocumented, things of that nature, companies that are 25 or more people. And then the other thing is there's a federal level where you're going to have civil and criminal penalties that could apply to you if you're found to be basically non-compliant with these rules, especially in cases where there's patterns of this occurring at that place of employment. So you want to be very careful when you're actually working on the I-9 and the verification process, and basically understand your legal obligations that you have based on this law. The other thing you want to do is you want to, as an employer, make sure you conduct those internal I-9 audits very carefully. This is such an important part of your business as a businessman or businesswoman. You want to basically make sure that you're doing that I-9 audit to ensure that all that documentation you have is in order. You really want to be consistent with the documentation. You want to audit all the employees that you have, not just certain groups within the employee group that you have. You also want to make sure that you don't target based on anyone's national origin or ethnicity, because this can trigger discrimination claims for you as the employer. And you want to consider hiring an immigration attorney or some compliance experts as well, because what will happen is these immigration attorneys will come in and they'll look at the audit, and that's what we'll do at our firm, is we'll look at your documentation, we'll break it down per immigrant employee that you have that is allegedly working there undocumented, and then we're going to try to fix it for you to make sure that you as the employer are not caught off guard by later issues that could come up by the federal government. You also want to make sure that you don't continue hiring these employees when you know they're unauthorized, because that could pose certain risks. However, that's easier said than done in certain industries. So you do just want to be aware, and you just want to be cognizant of the fact that, if that person you're hiring, make sure that they have a valid visa or a work permit, because any false documents or no valid status could be triggers that could basically trigger that civil or criminal issue that could come up. So they must be able to continue the employment as long as they have the legal documentation. So that's a decision that your HR department, Human Resources, will discuss with you. Our law firm can help you as well to make sure that you are currently employing someone that you know is authorized to legally work in the United States, because if you hire unauthorized workers, it can lead to very serious legal penalties. So you want to definitely have that documentation handy, and basically handle the termination process fairly as well to avoid employment law violations ultimately. But your true goal is to help them, and that's the employees themselves. So that's where that I-9 audit will give our law firm a better idea of what each individual employee's situation is, so that we can get them into legal status, so that way they can then later on work at your company legally. The other thing you want to do is make sure that when you're going through this process as the employer, and correcting these issues, you want to also make sure that you're following ethical and labor-based guidelines. What I mean by that is always get more documents than what's required. It's always better to have more than less in these specific circumstances, because that way you can always have backup documentation to prove further your case with respect to the government. You also want to be very careful on discriminating based on their immigration status or national origin, because that could then lead to issues later on the back end for the company. And also it could be issues that will now be on the record for the immigrant. So it's also something to really be careful and take a look at very deeply and carefully. And then you also want to make sure that you're getting genuine documents, not documents that appear to be genuine, because there's a whole laundry list of documents that you would need that our firm can provide to help you. You also want to make sure you use E-Verify if it's applicable in your state. E-Verify is a federal system that allows basically employers to verify the employment eligibility of those individuals in those states that they're deciding to employ. And it's all done electronically. So if you use E-Verify, you're able to now dot your I's and cross your T's. You're able to make sure that that person that you are hiring is legal here in the United States. And if they're not, how to make a game plan and put a game plan in place to ultimately get them in legal status, so that way they can then work at your company legally and you can continue your business on a day-to-day. So in some states, you'll see that E-Verify is mandatory. Others, it might not be. So you really want to look at what state you're in. That way you do follow this process and reduce any liability that could happen with your company. So ultimately, this is a very hot topic right now. We're helping a lot of business owners right now who are dealing with a lot of their employees who happen to be undocumented immigrants who are unfortunately being picked up by ICE, and they're going through a lot of issues as the employer as well because of this, and it's really messing up their day-to-day business. And also services that could be provided to all the citizens here in these great United States. So the employer relationship, when you're in industries that do hire immigrants, it is very important to follow these rules and regulations, and very important that you consult with an immigration attorney, so that way we can walk you through this process and make sure that you're good to go to run your American business and basically help out that immigrant who's just trying to live their American dream. So thank you so much for your time today. We really look forward to working with you. If you have any questions, please feel free to call our law office at 863-599-6735, and we'll take a case-by-case with each employee. We'll look at each employee's situation. We'll look at your business and how you operate that business, what all has been done, and basically help you ultimately not have to worry about all these immigration issues and ultimately sleep easy at night. So thank you so much again for your time, and we look forward to servicing you. Have a great day.